The message arrived at 2:14 a.m. A single photo. My stepson, laughing, drunk, standing on the hood of the car I paid for. Behind him, the house lights glowed, and I could almost hear the echo of their voices. My wife, her parents, her sisters, all of them inside. All of them pretending I wasn't the one holding their world together. The caption beneath the photo was simple. "Look, Dad, I'm a king tonight." I wasn't his father. He made sure to remind me of that in front of the entire family tonight. But he sent the photo to me anyway. Mockery disguised as affection. I stared at the screen, feeling that familiar cold spread through my chest, slowly, methodically, like a glacier moving across a valley, erasing everything in its path. Then the second message arrived. This one from my wife. A voice note, short, breathless, just her whispering, "He didn't mean it. Let it go." But I heard something else behind her tone. Annoyance, not apology. Defensiveness, not unity. Something shifted inside me in that moment. Something quiet, something final. I lay back on the pillow, staring at the ceiling. The room was dark except for the faint blue glow of the phone. I waited for the anger. It didn't come. Only clarity. Only the slow realization that the fracture I sensed for months had finally reached the surface, and it was time to stop pretending. The insult earlier that evening had been public, sharp, and deliberate. We were at the dinner table, my wife's entire family gathered for an early Thanksgiving. My stepson leaned back in his chair and smirked at me. "Relax, old man. You always act like you run the house. You don't." A few chuckles, a few uncomfortable glances. I looked at my wife. She didn't defend me. She didn't correct him. She just pressed her lips together and stared at the tablecloth. When I addressed him calmly, she snapped before he could answer. "He's not your son," she hissed. "Don't correct him. I've told you before." The room froze. He smirked again. And something inside me emptied. Not shattered, not broke, just emptied. I excused myself, went to the kitchen and washed my hands longer than necessary. Watching the water swirl down the drain, listening to the distant laughter as if I were already a ghost in their home. But betrayal rarely arrives in one clean strike. It comes in layers. A forgotten message, a hidden receipt, a shift in tone, a whisper behind a door. Little things, small cracks, ones I had been ignoring for months. Her late-night work meetings, her sudden overprotectiveness of her phone, her irritation whenever I asked about expenses, a pattern forming, a story writing itself behind my back. That night's insult wasn't new. It was simply the moment I finally stopped overlooking what I already knew. They didn't want me in the family. They only wanted what I provided, and I had provided far too much. I began quietly. Detachment masquerading as routine, a man coming home late from work, a husband scrolling through emails, a stepfather reviewing expenses. But beneath the surface, I was carving through the truth one silent cut at a time. Phone records first. Her calls were consistent, same unknown number, always after midnight. Then the credit statements. She had been withdrawing small amounts, not enough to alarm me, enough to hide intent. Enough to support someone who wasn't me. Then the car logs. My stepson had been driving places he claimed he'd never go. East Side, the rundown district, always past midnight. Patterns tightening. And the final thread, the university billing portal. Tuition, housing, car insurance, all of it tied directly to my accounts, not hers. While she defended him, she wasn't paying for him. I was. And they knew it. Every night I sat in the dark living room with only the sound of the refrigerator humming like a heartbeat in an empty chest. I didn't rage, I didn't spiral, I simply observed. Every detail, every lie, every shift in behavior, and I planned. The more information I uncovered, the calmer I became. Revenge isn't born from anger, it's born from clarity. My wife's late-night whispers started to make sense. My stepson's arrogance became a language. Their subtle unity against me was no longer personal, it was transactional. I was the account, the resource, the wallet, not the man. And once I understood that, the rest became simple, cold, surgical. The truth was nearly complete. I only needed one more confirmation. The last piece came on a quiet Thursday morning, an email. Subject line, DNA results available. I opened it without hesitation. I read the numbers once, then twice, then closed the laptop. Not my son. Not even biologically related to my wife's ex. He belonged to someone else entirely. A man she once told me she barely knew. The truth didn't hurt. It clarified. I printed the results and walked into the kitchen where she was sipping coffee, scrolling her phone. I placed the envelope beside her. She looked up. "What's this?" A question you already know the answer to. Her hands trembled as she opened it. She didn't deny it. She didn't explain. She just stared at the paper as her face drained of color, her mouth opening and closing like a fish pulled from the water. I waited. She finally whispered, "Why would you do this?" I almost laughed. "Why did you?" She broke. Tears, apologies, explanations. Too late. I stood there, perfectly calm, watching her melt into panic while I felt absolutely nothing. I had all the proof I needed, and now it was time to let the truth cost her something real. The next morning I began. Tuition canceled. Credit card closed. Car insurance terminated. The account under his name frozen. Not my son, not my problem. By noon, my wife was calling non-stop. By 2, she was pounding on my office door, her voice hoarse. "You're ruining his life!" "No," I said quietly, "you did that." She sobbed. "I didn't." That evening, her daughter-in-law called. "If you want to come to Thanksgiving," she barked, "you can come wash the dishes." I stared at the phone for a moment, then answered with a single word, "Later." I uploaded a set of photos to the family group chat. My villa in Switzerland, the one they never knew I owned. Within minutes, the phone vibrated, then again, then again. 71 missed calls. I turned the phone face down and poured myself a drink. Silence never felt so loud. My wife left that night. Not dramatically, quietly. As if she knew the performance was over and the stage lights had gone dark. I watched her go without speaking, without anger, without regret. The house was finally quiet. Not empty, just returned. I walked through each room slowly, realizing how much space I had lost while giving so much of myself to people who never saw me as anything more than a resource. Clarity is a strange thing. It doesn't comfort you. It cleanses you, coldly, brutally, honestly. I stood by the window, watching the empty driveway where his car once sat. A life they thought they controlled. A man they believed would never push back. They were wrong. I wasn't their father. I wasn't their servant. And I certainly wasn't their wallet. I was simply the one who finally stopped paying for their illusions. The final truth settled into my chest like a quiet exhale.